Okay. Oh, I see. I better wait. Yeah, please take your seats. Be careful here, cables and everything, but otherwise, yeah, make yourself comfortable. Okay, today we start through with project categorization or project selection and portfolio management. And because it's quite a big topic and you can actually refine a lot in portfolio management, especially if you think about the management, there's a lot of potential to actually adapt the portfolio management approach to your company specific and decide how you want to be measured. That I just will give an overview, yeah, and show what's around on a few case studies before looking at the individual criteria. So reading, if you want to read up, my colleague and I, Alex Hope and we have written a paper 2 years ago, was published this year. If you want to have an overview where a lot of companies kind of struggle conceptually, yeah, essentially if you do the tutor's brief, that is something that you will probably discuss at making the portfolio work, and we come to that in a second, where the real crux lies in the interface between project, portfolio, and actual projects themselves. Yeah, be careful with the camera. So again, reading suggestions for today, you probably have read it already. Then we start actually upside down. We start with what portfolio is, then have a look at values or systems of selecting projects that overlap a little bit with major projects as well. And then last but not least, look at project portfolio management and what the current state of affairs is about that. Actually, if you look at project portfolio management, a lot of the publications come actually from researchers that are either themselves in the companies. Yeah, so we have actually a lot of people that are authors or scholars in that field. Like for example, Günther Hegel, he's a managing director of Telekom in Germany. It's a multinational. And he's a major scholar in portfolio management. So this is really kind of where you have science meets practice. Yeah? And you will see, I will just hint, there's a lot of mathematics as well, depending on how you decide successful projects may look, or what your aims and objectives are strategically. This may actually frame the project performance or where you want to have your projects. Yeah? Okay, let's get started. Portfolios, simplified, is really a selection, an overview of activities, yeah, that you select under an aspect of creating value. Yeah? And value is here something that depends very much. Yeah? Value is something that we will discuss as well this seminar a little bit, to come to terms with what value actually means. Yeah? Value is very different for a third sector company, or maybe even like a conglomerate of third sector companies. They may understand value very differently than a shareholder corporation that holds as a capital venture organization just organizational shares based on profits and margins that they expect. Now that is probably on the economic scale if you think about it. And there are certainly other elements that come into this as well. Yeah. Okay. Quick definitions. In a way, this is how it's often simplified, but I have actually my personal interpretation of that. A portfolio is a grouping of projects, programs, other activities and organizations sponsors. So here we see maybe as well a portfolio of products or services. Yeah? Or maybe even if you have a project management office, you may have a portfolio of capabilities that you want to deliver. Yeah? So we had in our seminars now how to deliver client expectations. Maybe that is a service that you're providing in your project management office. Yeah? So as one of the activities that you're focusing on. Within it, we may have may hold programs and projects, but again, so a program here just as a work definition. We will have another session actually on programs itself. It's a group of related projects that together achieve benefits of strategic nature. It doesn't have to be projects. Yeah, it can be as well manufacturing operations. Yeah, if you think manufacturing and larger engineering constructions, we often don't see it in a project remit. We have kind of assembly lines that work towards it. Yeah, so programs has a little bit of pharmacy, quite famously. You know, you have a selection of research strands where you're probably refining pharmacy products. Yeah, and again, project here seen as a unique process with a start and finish undertaken to achieve a desired outcome. Yeah, so this is kind of the literature-based one. Here's an adaptation that, like we have taken it as well from literature, Alex and I, but we have given it a little bit the functional spin. So under the portfolio and the portfolio manager, in a way, would look after single project of strategic relevance. Yeah, so if you have like a prestige project in your company, yeah, that you do maybe with a lot of interaction with media outside world, or there's a certain volume, or there are other criteria or values that may come in, but of strategic implication, then you may overlook that directly at the portfolio level. Then you may have management of a group of multiple projects. Here you may have one group that looks at a particular type of project, and then there's another grouping that is again kind of is maybe tied through resources or capabilities, teams that work on it. Yeah? This can be a lot of things in a way. And then last but not least, we have the program management, and in the programs we may see something similar like program 1 or 2, and then within that maybe sub-projects that interrelate. Yeah, I've as well written that out on the next slide. Oh no, I haven't. I have written it out below the slides, so if you go into the slides in the ERP, you will see it's written out as well. Now I wanted to have a look at the random selection of links that I find interesting, and the last one has slight bias, the other ones are just famous ones. When you write it to Google, like portfolio, multinationals, those come up, and my Google is certainly favoring, it seems, British and Swedish web pages. This is just unfortunate, but Siemens was ironically the local one here that came up in my Google, yeah? So that shows you that Google kind of knows where I'm based. But what I wanted to show you here is they have organized it in product groups, yeah, and within that they hold actually this as a strategic portfolio. But behind that they have as well then interlinking adaptations, so you can actually go and refine or customize product search as you would expect, yeah, and then as well market specific solutions where they kind of have spin-offs. Be aware, companies like Siemens and as well Volvo, the other one that we're looking at, they don't have all their units in the portfolio. Yeah, they have a lot of project units that are not visible at the portfolio level. Yeah, there's a reason that they see it maybe a strategic capacity that they may not actually commercialize to 100%, where they just bring spin-outs out. Yeah, so for Siemens, the English page, it's automation, building technology, drive technology, energy, healthcare, mobility, consumer products, financial solutions. Yeah, they have as well their own banking service, of course, services, and yeah, then there's something else. And I would encourage you have a look through some of those to get an idea of that. And here the Swedish alternative, so Volvo was the second that came up for me. I think it's because of the sailing race at the moment. Actually, the ocean race came up for me. So there's maybe something very corrupt in my Google search. But here we go. So you have kind of the units of Volvo trucks, Volvo buses, Volvo construction equipment. Then I can't read it. That is bad. Then Volvo Penta. Volvo Financial Services again, and then the Volvo Group extended. Yeah, but they present that as a grouping level, which is quite interesting. And oh, I shouldn't really forget Volvo Cars, yeah? Even like a little bit driven out. But what's interesting is you have here as well the interface of property marketing projects that are perceived of strategic value to be communicated on the web page. Yeah? So you have the Ocean Race, there's Volvo in Golf, yeah, as an option. And then last but not least, but this is really personal choice, my granddad had a company in mining logistics, and this was like kind of bought from this company, Swiss company. And hence I still have direct interest in them. And here they are probably on the side where they just look in terms of remit of shares. Yeah? So their values and their portfolios, you can see for whom they are. Yeah? You see who we are, our investors, media, then careers, and then global map and sustainability. Yeah? So this is kind of where they start off. But if you go actually into the investors, you can see, oh actually, where is my portfolio? This is a different page than to my computer. This is always bad. Yeah, but shows you probably again that Google has not recognized me here. I think it was probably global operations. Oh, it's a pity. Yeah, okay, but the idea is there. They focus in commodities and logistics, but this doesn't do them justice. I would encourage you to maybe go on a computer not linked to the university network. There may be a filtering going on, but you will see the portfolio, what they specialize on. Yeah, so commodities, they do everything from mining, refining, to actually logistics. So you can say that you want the raw materials delivered in a week from wherever they are mined to where you want to process them, or you can even go a step further and say you want the refined material. Yeah, so if you're producing jewelry, for example, they are the guys that can deliver you, for example, gold, platinum, things like that. That is quite an interesting one. But one of the things that they are actually now specializing on is actually trading. Yeah, so they make prices and agree on behalf of companies, basically trading prices. Okay, so a few examples, and that is really just as a starting point how a few companies have done that. Now, when you look into this, and this is from Morris' example, you will see that portfolios always sit in a, so that this is one portfolio, that is another portfolio, yeah, here illustrated in that big triangle, yeah? And portfolios normally kind of tools to enforce strategy. Yeah? So if you have decided on values in your company, a mission, what you try to achieve, this is basically where it comes in. Yeah? And at the top level, the strategy is defined, and then of course kind of formulated in objectives that you try to achieve. And then you have at the portfolio levels the relevant departments or programs that is like basically illustrated by the round circles that you have there that support in the portfolio the project. And here's already the hint, so if you have understood this fully, you have kind of the conceptual idea. The projects are basically the little dots, and they have basically drawn out the projects because for projects to be successfully interlinked in a portfolio program and project level, you have to think about gates or stages where you review and measure the project in accordance to your strategy and vision, translated down to the refined criteria of your projects. Yeah? So this means as a project manager, you will very likely adopt a process where you have like different stages in the project where you are reporting back. And here we become actually already in the refinement of project portfolio management. Here we have actually quite a raft of different practice, and they have different implications as well on if it works or what the potential pitfalls are. Yeah. What is a gated approach or what is a stage approach in project management?
Yes, no direction.
Yeah.
So it takes you down that route. Takes you eventually to what your end goal is going to be at all.
Yeah.
Not really strategy, just to
Yeah. It's an evaluation point, yeah, where you either take yes or no. It's a little bit like the for the students that do the on-campus assessment. It's the assessment that you submitted. It was either accepted subject to change. Yeah, so this would be orange in my. So green is accepted. Yeah, so this is good. Then orange is accepted with changes. Yeah, so I liked it really if you would send an email back and say that you have changed it. Yeah, this would make it green as well. And then red would be rejected. Yeah, then it's a no-go for the project. So you would either pull it at that end, the project, or potentially as well reevaluate. Yeah, so that is a decision point basically where you are kind of confronted with the situation that you align the project's remit to the portfolio. And the interesting thing is the portfolio changes of course as well, yeah, but we'll come to that in a second. So it's a very dynamic approach. Yeah. Now, where did portfolios come from? Markowitz in 1952 kind of was the inventor of it. He really came up with portfolios as a mathematical tool. It was algorithms largely. Algorithms kind of filtering through data points that collected how companies are performing, how products are performing. And the idea was to avoid that in that time there were a lot of companies that kind of had a super idea, a super product and really made it on the market. And then they tried another product and it flopped completely and they were out of business, bankrupt and had to start from scratch again. Yeah, and Markowitz has really this idea of how can we make sure that we not always like start from scratch and try to kind of put ourselves completely out there, very risky. Is there a way of measuring this? And that is really where that portfolio came from as a selection tool, if you want, for efficient financial investment. So that is as well a little bit where the shareholders came in investing in somebody's company or somebody's project as a supporter and having kind of an idea what you could expect in terms of return on your investment with a project, or you may have financed it to get a value out. So if you have financed, for example, in a technology company where you believe in the technology, you may want to use the technology yourself. So something like that. So no added diversification can lower the portfolio's risk for a given return expectations. So there was a recognition that you should have projects that on one hand are safe, but at the same time you should give a remit for trying out new things, to be interesting. That if your market kind of like depletes or market shift as well, that products are replaced with other products, then you have like an alternative so that you basically keep going with exploration of new things too, but at the same time not at the cost of going bankrupt. So it's kind of that balancing tool. And of course, no additional expected return can be gained without increasing risk of the portfolio. That is the notion. If you want to grow, you have to either think about going for new products or thinking about introducing your products that you have already to new market segments or repleting the market. Really figuring out where do people actually want to have my service or a product or what you are delivering. So when you look at it in literature, we have actually kind of, this is like what you will find repeatedly in literature, and it's kind of as well a hierarchy. So the first of all is actually value maximization. So most of the companies that went into portfolios, they were mainly after value maximization. And that didn't always mean that they increased on shareholder value. The wonderful example is actually is it one for example? Should be careful here. So Saab, for example, had one value. Who knows the value of the car crash? Saab is the only car that has one special feature in their car that no other car had. What is Saab renowned for? Does anybody know? Saab is probably renowned for a lot of things, but it was really, really famous for that. It's an expensive feature. Does anybody?
Saab.
Yeah, Saab.
The roll cage.
Yeah, exactly. So in rally driving, they didn't need a roll cage, whilst all the other cars needed if you kind of have a crash and you roll over, yeah, the roof was built so stable that you could actually make a flip, and actually quite a high one. So the standard test is, has to be able to fall kind of from 7 meters upside down and drop with like, you put water of like 200 liter as people in, yeah, and it's not supposed to burst. And Saab was the only car that had the roof that would allow this. Yeah, and even the rally cars, the cars that were kind of built for that, they didn't have this. Yeah, they had to kind of compensate it with additional features, basically overall steel structure. Well, it's actually not steel, but metal structures that allow you the additional safety. Yeah, so value has different spins. Be aware of that. Yeah, and I want to kind of come to terms a little bit with that in the seminar as well, that we understand where I'm coming from. The second and later on probably quite important one was balancing the portfolio, yeah, and the activities and projects that you are doing. Yeah, especially you have maybe noticed this, you may have not noticed. We in a lot of companies that are kind of small, medium size, and then go towards the larger side, up to multinationals. We are engaging at the moment in a technology race where this is debatable, yeah, this is a potentially even political stand, where we try to enhance our activities with engaging actually in technology and automation to a degree. And this is actually quite risky, yeah, because a lot of the automations don't really kind of pull off the remit that they were set out to do. So a lot of companies have actually started using kind of research and development as like a balancing act. Yeah? The most drastic ones is pharmacy. If you look at pharmacy at the moment, to get one drug that really kind of solves a problem, I mean solves a problem, not as a side product, like kind of has an effect that we kind of weren't looking for, is at the moment around 4 billion. Yeah, so this is like a measure for actual products that are on the market. Yeah, you can have a look at things like that. So we came really into the balancing act here. And then last but not least was a strategic direction. Yeah, so portfolios are as well used nowadays to really restrain what we are doing, not restrain, but guide what we are doing in projects, and has taken over in that as well. Yeah. So again, it's a mixed balance between optimal investment risk versus return. And for a lot of projects that you may work on, if you haven't started measuring before, if you don't know durations or actual risk, how often does it happen in your project, then you have to replace and think about starting to measure as well, because then you don't have risk, then you have uncertainty. Yeah, so uncertainty and risk are different chestnuts. Yeah, so be aware of that. So for uncertainty, you have to start either to measure or think about scenarios. Yeah, what risks may be, but still it's based on uncertainty, and there are different measures to that. Yeah. Then you have as well maintenance versus growth. That was another one, and then short-term versus long-term project. Yeah, so particular with portfolios, you can balance that if you have interest in that. Yeah, and actually research institutions do that a lot. Yeah, so the great discoveries you normally work on for a long time. Yeah, but our research council funding is always like, well, you are an utopian person if you have like a 5-year project. And in research, then you have like a great grant. So we are competing normally for 1 to 3 years project, but in reality, the great discoveries normally take 5 to 10 years, or sometimes a lifetime very often. Yeah. So there is and there are small discoveries in between. Yeah? I don't want to really put value on that, but if you are after discoveries that are meaningful, time is a strange thing to predict on. Yeah. Now, what does it look like? I've given you here a few examples. I have to say they look very old. This is a recent book that I've taken them from. It's published actually this year. I have to say, in 2003, my company that I worked for in PepsiCo, we had actually better tools than this. So this is kind of a starting point. The problem is a lot of those tools are confidential. If you're interested in seeing it, I have a selection of different portfolios in my office. Hop around and you can have a look through, but it goes in the same direction. So it's normally a dashboard for senior management control, and not just control, but it's as well feedback, that you have a good idea if you're, for example, looking for an additional investment, that you can kind of like identify, like we have here projects that have a certain return. So this is the Boston matrix. You may know it as cash cows and things like that. So it's a risk versus reward ladder. And very important, this is often something that is not looked at in literature so detailed. But what we really want is the net present value. Yeah? So if it's a 5-year project with currencies or actual value in the company, you may actually accumulate, so you have knock-on effects, building capacities as well, or reputation. So that is one line. And then the other one is risk low, risk high. And then you have, of course, like preferred projects that are kind of expected here. Yeah, so high in expected net returns and at the same time low level of risk. Yeah, those are no-brainers for senior management. They normally love those projects. Yeah, and then you have a terrible scenario. If your projects kind of slip based on currencies or materials, yeah, that you have on your projects, kind of out of the desirable areas, and you are having the unlucky situation that your project comes to that review stage, yeah, or to that stage, it's as well likely that if they play it very hard, that they actually pull your project at that level. Yeah. So, but that is just an idea of like tools and what impact they may have. So dashboard for senior management, control over organizational activity. Then you have maximizing portfolio's value. Again, financial scoring models. We'll have a look a little bit at that in a second, how you can do that. So it sometimes looks something like that. And then you have like a funky dashboard that kind of tells you where you are with things. And then achieving a balanced portfolio, a bubble diagram or other visual models. So this is a little bit this, yeah, and the tools that actually feed into it. And then need to understand types of characteristics of projects. So this is what we actually look at in the next section. So here you have like basically categorized in different project types. So they have 3 different types, and we will look at examples in a second. So the majority is kind of in that type of project. Then you have that, and there's only a small remit of projects that sit in the 3rd category. Yeah, and it gives you an idea as well where your capacities and resources may go. So a lot to take in. If you have read the papers, this was probably quite an old chestnut for you. So let's actually construct one. Yeah, let's get involved on the portfolio side and start selecting projects and think a little bit about the categories as well that come along with it. Oh, wait a minute. My machine just came back. No, okay, we leave it. Okay, once again, a lot of you weren't there. My machine here, the scanner just froze basically, and has now come back. But I'm monitoring you from this week onwards in lectures and seminars, so make sure you bring your library card. So you're all here in this lecture because I basically messed it up with the scanner, but it still doesn't come back. But in the next seminar session, I will start monitoring the library cards, so be aware of that. Okay, any questions to the portfolios? This was a very brief overview of like the basic concepts and what the interfaces are. Yeah? So portfolio management sits normally at the director's level, or if you have different groups, it normally sits at the group head level, and they use it really as a feedback or review or monitoring process. Yeah? And I have 2 students that work in that area now, yeah. So it's not a lot from 350 that are kind of willing to share with me still contact details, yeah. So this is from the past 5 years, yeah? So not that many that go that way. Okay, so all projects to succeed and determine all projects without a fail. that is a old joke. It plays on the semantic. Yeah. What means determine? You are determined to do something. Determination. Yeah, okay, we come to that. Yeah. So on what basis can we select projects? Well, I gave you the overview at the beginning. So it's again that kind of setting you want to think is a meaningful